Welcome to I Caught It on Audio. This is Water Cooler Chat Episode 5. Moon Knight, Season 1, Episode 5.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of I Got It on Audio. We are continuing our water cooler chat about the Disney Plus series Moon Knight. Today we're going to be talking about the fifth episode of Season 1. The synopsis for this one is Mark and Steven search through their memories to find their truth or become left behind. And we certainly did learn a lot in this one, didn't we?
Yeah.
What do you guys think of this one?
I think this was my second favorite episode.
Yeah, I thought it was a really strong episode in a different way, because it was more about like reveals and information rather than like action or the unknown. I mean, there was some action, but like it was really interesting and satisfying. I thought it was very good.
Yeah, it revealed a lot, but then it also kind of left you with more questions. It wasn't quite like laying it all out there and then you're done. And I like that. It was nice that it kind of gave you a little bit about background about the Mark character and more about the different personalities living inside of him. And then,
we got to learn who is the actual, owner of the body, if you will. It's Mark's body, and he created Steven as a device to protect himself when he was a child from the abuse of his mother, basically, which explains a lot. It explains, Dan, your biggest complaint about the show, which is the accent. The accent is the interpretation of a British accent of a elementary school child through B-movie portrayal.
Yeah. It wasn't like it was a big complaint. It was so strange to me. Like, it just seemed really, and it was a great explanation, because it seemed exactly what I thought when I heard the accent, which is like, that's very on the nose, especially like the very like traditionally British phrases he constantly used. Well, it totally makes sense. It's exactly what a kid thinks a British person sounds like, based on an actor in a movie. So yeah, that was great.
An actor in a bad movie at that.
Yeah, I really liked that. Movie. Yeah, I like that they also were patient enough to let him have a crappy accent for 5 episodes before paying it off. That was awesome.
Yeah, we got to see the underworld, which was really neat. Saw the journey through the underworld, and we basically picked up immediately at the end of the previous episode, basically where Mark and Steven are confronted with, what's her name? Taurat, yeah. And then it was explained that they are dead and they need to reconcile their different identities. We did flash between them being dead and then them thinking that they're in a mental health hospital. They were also, I've had trouble. What did you guys think about those two places that they were? Because they were both dead on the ship, running through the hospital, seeing the memories. But then they were all, in addition to that, they were having new experiences with Dr. Harrow, or the introduction of the Simpsons into the MCU. I'm glad Disney's finally doing that with Ned Flanders. So how did that all work out in you guys' opinion with the two different realities, I guess?
I liked it quite a bit. It kept me engaged and wondering what was going on. Because sometimes my mind will wander if things are going slow. So I liked it. What'd you think, Dan?
Well, it was strange. Like, it was, I'm not 100% sure exactly how it all works yet. So the what I've been trying to do for the most part is wait until like Saturday or Sunday to watch it, so it's fresh. And but like, I enjoyed the last episode so much that I just watched it Wednesday. Maybe this all makes sense and I'm just confused now because it's been a few days, but it seems like he kept having these injections to sedate him while he's having the session with the Ned Flanders version of Harrow, and then that was letting him go back into the delusion, so to speak. But the delusion is in fact him working out his memories with Taweret, the hippo goddess, on the boat, sailing through the Duat, which is all a afterlife, waiting room, because he actually was shot in the real world, but the real world is just a delusion, arguably, from the... there's all these layers going on. I'm not exactly sure if I figured out or not, like, how that works. Like, what's real and what's fake? Why are they interacting in that way? Why is he able to, when he's sedated, drop into reality, if that actually is reality? Or is it all arguably just, he is actually crazy, and this is going to be a Newhart show thing where it turns out he was always in the hospital, which would be very dissatisfying, of course. But yeah, I haven't figured that out yet. It doesn't quite make sense to me. Maybe one of you guys picked up something I missed and it all makes sense.
Jack, did you have any thoughts on that?
So no, not really. But I think that I'm not sure how it would have happened, but I think that maybe that is actually from when their mom died, and Stephen brought them in, and somehow the past and the present are merging together.
Okay. How about you, Zach?
Yeah, I without a whole lot of background on the character about what actually happened in his life leading up to all this, I almost wonder if the asylum stuff is like he actually was in an asylum at one point in his life, and it's sort of a revisit of that as that was a time in his life when he was going through a lot of stuff, and he was sort of in the prison of being there and of trying to work out his demons, and now in this afterlife state, he's kind of revisiting that as a way of trying to work through things, because that's what these last two episodes have felt like. Well, more so this one than the last one, but definitely the working through things, like trying to come to terms with his different personalities, and in this one, trying to balance the scales in one way or another, and so it almost seems to me like it's a construct for his mind to be able to work through these things, and a lot of it being influenced with things that were from his actual past.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens in this last episode. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm still not certain what reality is the true reality. We've been led to believe the whole time that the working at the museum and fighting the bad guys, trying to find the scarab, and then trying to find finding the tomb of Alexander the Great. We've been led to believe that the whole time that has been reality, and then we now have this whole mental health hospital twist to it, and we still don't know anything about the third personality, which I feel like there's almost certainly going to be a third personality in this last coming episode, because why would they have hinted at that in the previous episode?
Yeah.
Otherwise, or in a couple of episodes actually. So
I think so too. But how did the scales balance without the third personality?
Yeah, that's what point. I'm not sure how that works.
So when the hippo goddess is she's like, oh, excuse me, real quick, and she reaches in to pull their hearts out to put them on the scale. I was 100% convinced she was going to just mush them together into one person. There we go. Now we're ready to go. But I don't know. It's just something that popped into my head. But yeah, the framing of the mental hospital is confusing because it's a new framing and it mildly invalidates the first 4 episodes. So like you could understand if they had introduced this, like he's working it out as he goes along here. I don't know. I kind of feel like if none of this is real and he actually has been just working his way through his like the trauma and trying to reconcile with his like other dissociative personalities or whatever the right terminology is, it just seems like that's maybe not the best move to kind of invalidate that. Like you kind of, I don't know. So I'm not really sure whether that makes sense or not. Whether it's like a time thing. Like, that's the thing. It's the MCU. It's entirely possible that there's some sort of weird time thing going on, like Jack mentioned, where it's all real. It's just being sort of like interlaced because of, I don't know, a tie into the Multiverse of Madness or whatever the new Doctor Strange movie is. And so like that's entirely possible. I hadn't even thought of that. It's an interesting idea, but I'm not sure how that would work either. But yeah, it's very confusing. But I thought the best part of the episode probably was like the thing that I was a little worried about how they were not worried about really, but like they're handling the whole multiple personality thing basically by like juggling between, okay, mercenary guy that kicks ass, and then, oh no, it's the smart guy who happens to know all about Egypt, and it seems sort of like a convenient, isn't having multiple personalities kind of cool almost, like,
right.
But then they when they laid out the backstory, how it got there, and as far as I know, a reason, like just from very brief like reading of like some like stuff about the show, I mean, you form these dissociative personalities that you're not aware of, you are generally formed because of some sort of childhood trauma, physical or emotional. So it totally like makes sense. And it feels like they're taking the mental illness part of it seriously and not sort of using it as a like magic trick. Like sometimes autistic characters, are like incredible and amazing and can do all these magic tricks seemingly because they're actually geniuses and isn't it amazing, rather than, kind of a mildly miserable existence that a disability like that can give you. So I thought them taking it seriously, really like taking their time to explain how it got there. It's sort of the weird premise makes a lot of sense now, and I thought that was something they hadn't really gotten into much in the show yet, and I thought it was really good that they did.
Yes, Dan, very very insightful. I heard everything you just said.
I'm very eloquent.
Does anyone have any final thoughts? Because we're getting a little long here.
Just a really good episode. Fun one.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
We'll see how they sort it all out in this final episode. I think they have to mostly sort it out because I don't believe there's any plans to make a second season at this point.
Yeah, to my knowledge, there isn't.
Hopefully they'll address the maybe not every unanswered question, but kind of the big ones.
Right.
We got to deal with Harrow.
Yeah. I'm hoping that they can find a way to bring Steven back, because I was really upset that Steven died.
Yeah, it was a pretty dark episode. Lots of heavy stuff in that one.
Yeah, I like Steven better than Mark. Anyway.
Yeah, it is interesting that a not actual separate person died in the afterworld, which sort of validates that he is an actual real separate person.
Right.
Hopefully what they can do is combine the aspects of both. And what Moon Knight doesn't exist if he doesn't have multiple personalities, so I doubt they're going to do that. So,
right.
But anyway, we'll see what happens. This last episode should be interesting.
I caught it on audio.